It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce John Kerry, the 68th U.S. Secretary of State and the former Special Presidential Envoy for Climate. He has been an incredible advocate, it's giving me chills, for solving the climate crisis. Please give him a huge round of applause and thank him for being here. Thank you so much.
After that, I should definitively not open my mouth. Just let it ride. Thank you all. Goodbye.
What a pleasure.
I regret. Let me say, as I say hello, I regret. I am really pushed for time, unfortunately, because I need to go. Some of you may know the name Martin Indyk. He passed away the other day. And so I need to go to his memorial service. So forgive me when I...
Well, we will dive in then.
Dive in, John.
All right.
Thank you.
You've been such an outspoken advocate for climate action for decades. So let's start by just hearing a little bit about your personal journey. How did you get to this point?
Took a left on Baker and came... Yeah. No, I was very blessed. My mother was a huge environmentalist. And your chair of the board, Grant Winthrop, I don't know if he's here anywhere.
He's not.
But Grant is my cousin, first cousin, and I spent a lot of time on their farm up in Massachusetts as a kid. And then my family, we lived on a farm for a period of time in Millis, Massachusetts, and I used to sit in the tractor seat and listen to the guy who was driving it swear like a bandit. Learned all those good words. But bottom line is, I just, Rachel Carson had a profound impact on me in 1962 and on a lot of us. And then when I came back from Vietnam, I first became involved in Earth Day as an organizer in New England. And we brought 20 million people out of their homes to say we don't want to live in the middle of smog in New York and Los Angeles and places. You couldn't see across the city in those days. So we then built that into a political movement. We targeted the 12 worst votes in the United States Congress in 1970. We called them the Dirty Dozen. We had a huge campaign against them. And we defeated 7 of the 12, and immediately Richard Nixon realized, this is a voting issue. This is what you have to make it. And so we passed the Clean Air Act, Safe Drinking Water, Marine Mammal Protection, Coastal Zone Management, Endangered Species, and we created the Environmental Protection Agency of America. So,
what a legacy.
And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Anyway, but that's how I got here.
Yeah.
And in the Senate, I was privileged to lead the efforts in the Senate to try to get, in 2009, when Obama came in.
Waxman-Markey.
We tried to get Waxman-Markey through the Senate with Lindsey Graham, Joe Lieberman. We had a massive attack on Lindsey Graham by a coal company that did not want to progress, and it just forced him away from the effort. So
well, thank you for your efforts on that. It was before my time at AFT, but AFT led the charge on the ag side of Waxman-Markey, and what a...
Everything was before our time.
But climate change is obviously, arguably, the greatest challenge facing our world. And the topic's obviously complex, multifaceted. Today, we're really talking about agriculture as a potential solution. Right. Many of us in the room live and breathe that angle. Your approach to climate change has been all over the map in every area. So it's important for those of us who are focused on the ag side to hear some insights from somebody who's looked at it in a bigger picture. How do you see agriculture fitting into this puzzle?
It's an essential ingredient. It's one of the sectors. I mean, oceans, agriculture, land management, farming practices. We've learned a lot, and they're critical. The Biden administration has taken that very, very seriously, folks. I mean, we, without prompting, when we were in Glasgow for the first COP that I took on as, well, no, it wasn't the first. I was the lead negotiator in Paris and supervisor of negotiations. I was Secretary of State then. And then when we went to Glasgow and to Sharm el Sheikh and to Dubai, agriculture was front and center in all of our thinking and work. And the Biden administration, in its investment in America agenda, put about $19.5 billion on the table for agriculture. During that period of time, a massive number of farmers, of producers, were enrolled in conservation programs within the administration, about 5,300 producers to be precise, and agroforestry, precision farming, regenerative farming, all of these things crossed my desk anyway. And when we went to Glasgow, we created, together with the UAE and the EU, the Agriculture Innovation Mission, Aim for Climate, which has helped to produce resilience advances, adaptation advances, et cetera. And, agriculture is obviously critical all around the world. I mean, droughts and lack of water and hotter days and extreme heat and extreme events and floods which wipe out crops. I mean, everything just flows in a sort of sequence. And I think, you all have done a terrific job over time in helping to educate people about this. And Grant's brother, my first cousin, Fred Winthrop, was our agriculture commissioner in Massachusetts for 3 successive terms. And so this is sort of, I guess, running the family.
Yeah, well, Fred was one of the founders of American Farmland Trust, as you know, and got us on the right track. You mentioned the Biden administration and what this administration has done to address climate is unprecedented, particularly in the ag sector. How do we both secure those gains, and then how do we over time build on them?
We secure those gains by having the right outcome on November 5th. Let me be clear about that. And I didn't come here, I'm not, I don't want to turn this into a partisan event, obviously. It's not. But that's just a reality. If you pull out of the Paris Agreement, as he did and has promised to do again, if you don't fund any of the initiatives, and if you insult people's intelligence by saying it's a hoax and so forth, I think we have every reason in the world to care about that outcome. And I think for farmers around the world, around the United States, they have clearly benefited from Tom Vilsack's stewardship, which is quite extraordinary. I don't think there's anybody I know who's more knowledgeable or more savvy and has brought people to the table who might have never thought about coming to the table. So this has become a really collegiate effort for agriculture, John. I think you know that as well as anybody. And if we want that to continue, we cannot have a project 2025 be implemented or be even close to the table. And that's just a reality. It's a fact. It's a choice between going backwards or going forwards.
Well, we can't thank you enough for the leadership role that you've played. I know you have time constraints. It's been such an honor to have you here, but I want to give you a chance if you have any final comments to this group, any words of wisdom?
I don't know if it's a word of wisdom, but I would say to everybody, be optimistic about this, because we can be. We have the ability to win this fight. What we really do. And what's happening with technology now in storage, for instance, for batteries, so it's now solar plus, and we change the amount of time that that we're able to work exclusively on renewables. We begin to provide energy security, and as that energy security takes hold and more advances come in line, I think geothermal is in our future. There's going to be a lot more potential there. We are pursuing very hard every technology available. Right now, it's all of the above. And so I think you just have to have confidence. We have the best ingenuity in the world here in this country. What we don't have is the best politics. And what we need to do is win back our ability to control where we're going by being sensible, by restoring facts to essential decision making. And not avoiding the realities. I mean, what we're doing to try to deal with climate is not the conjured up agenda of one candidate or another, or liberal, conservative, or Democrat or Republican. It is entirely driven by thousands of scientists who for 30 years now have been telling us what's going to happen, and whose analyses are based on physics, mathematics, chemistry, biology. And that's what we have been guided by. And I think if all of us will keep fighting for the facts, the restoration of factual decision-making, not an alternative reality that's based on fiction, we will win this battle if we hold that ground.
Hear, hear.
Thank you. Thank you.